Hi, you've just tuned into the Creative Life Podcast, the place where creatives go for inspiration. My name is Jessica Olson, and I'm a creative coach as well as your host. I'm joined here today by co-host Dr. Jacqueline Gibbons and a special guest. Dr. Gibbons, who do we have on our show today?
Today on our show, we get to visit with Ben Lane. This animator and story artist has over 25 years in the industry on a variety of productions, including Zootopia, Frozen Fever, Family Guy, and The Simpsons. He is also the artistic hand behind squash and sketch caricatures. And if you are lucky, you can catch him and his son drawing the masses at Vala's Pumpkin Patch.
And speaking of pumpkin patches, this is where I met Ben. My daughter and I were taking our annual trip to Vala's, and I saw a sign for free caricatures. And I knew that I wanted to have that experience with my daughter, and actually brought the sketch to set today to show off the final product. And I'm so excited just to dive deeper with you today and hear about your career and share some insights with our creatives watching.
She was very excited, I remember.
I know. She actually waited in line and she sat there the whole time. She didn't want to get her picture taken at the end. She's like, no, I just got a sketch. Like, I'm on a different level now, Mom.
I think I have your photo posted on my Instagram.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's an honor. That's awesome. All right. Well, Dr. Gibbons, how about you kick us off with the first question?
I sure will. So, can you tell us how you first got into sketching? Was it something you always did, or did you kind of fall into this later in life?
I have an older brother. He's 9 years older than I am. He was artistic, and he had these sketchbooks that he did all sorts of doodles in, and I guess I'm not sure what age I was, but I would just trace his stuff, and that was really my start. And then I got into the Sunday comics, the funnies, and things like that. Where I grew up is there was a studio right outside of town where they made Garfield, Jim Davis Studios,
yes.
And so he was big. And so of course we bought all those books, and I tried to draw Garfield as a kid, and so that was my start.
Interesting.
Wow, that's amazing.
And having during my childhood and the comics of reading Garfield and all of those, it's amazing how something from our childhood is feeding what your passion is.
Yeah, you never know what's going to kick you off.
Right. Right. So tell us about your current project.
Well, my full-time gig is working on The Simpsons. I've been with them now, gosh, I've lost track of the years because I've left and come back a few times. But that's pretty much my 40-hour work job. This past fall we did the squash and sketch caricature, which is not easy to say. And that was just I first time doing that venture with them this year, so hopefully they like it, and we'll do it again next fall, and just little odd and end projects on top of that.
Interesting.
Absolutely. And one of the special things that when we were getting our sketch done, your son was actually there as well, and I thought that was so beautiful because I was there with my daughter, and then I saw you there with your son. I was like, how amazing is it to see your grown child and to be able to do something with them, especially if it's something that fuels your passion and you get to see their creative juices flowing as well. I just saw that and I was like, wow, that's really precious. And
yeah, it's sweet. It's fun to watch him go through the process of, I learned how to draw this today, or because you do so many drawings and you think, oh, this is a good way to draw the eye, this is a good way to draw these features, and I was there 20, 30 years ago, same place. So, yeah, it's fun to watch those stages. It's fun to watch your kid grow from a baby up to a child. So, by this time, the stages don't happen as often. So,
You've watched your son go from stick figures to much more advanced.
Yeah, he's drawn some interesting things along the way. He went through a phase with submarines for a while. So, yeah.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. You never know what's going to capture the interest and
Yeah.
the curiosity of a child. I
No,
love that.
absolutely. All right. So my next question for you is, how would you describe your artistic style to someone who's never seen your work?
I'm very cartoonish, very illustrative. I tend to be more simple. I work in storyboards mainly because I'm not a very patient artist. To sit down and noodle a painting for days or something, it really just doesn't fit me. Doing the quick sketches that I do for my job and telling a story within those few quick sketches, that suits me. So cartooning and that sort of style is definitely in my wheelhouse.
Wow, that's awesome. I like how you also talked about your preference for work and your work style and how that comes out in how you sketch. Because we all have different temperaments in the work that we do. Some people are like, oh, I love working collaboratively. I like working independently. But for you, you say, okay, it's actually the speed in which I'm able to work, the speed in which I'm able to create and tell a story. So,
And the caricatures kind of fall right in line there. I'm doing a portrait basically in 5 minutes, and hopefully I capture a bit of personality in that 5-minute sketch.
I think you do. Based on what I saw there, because there were a couple families before me. And so, well, we saw the sign. I feel like everybody saw the sign at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a free drawing? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so I did get to see some families before me get drawn. I do
Yeah.
believe that you do capture that
Well, thank you.
essence. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
well, knowing personally how lively
Ah,
the dynamic duo
Yeah.
are, she and her daughter, I think you captured that beautifully.
That's a way to put it.
Lively.
Lively. I like that.
it was the beautiful smile. As soon as you sat down, you
Absolutely.
smiled. I knew I
Absolutely.
knew I was in for a treat.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. All right.
So, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start sketching but doesn't necessarily know where to begin?
I guess, I mean, if there's something you like to draw, I mean, there's a lot of discussion about copy. I'm thinking, copy all you want. Don't try to copy and sell it. Don't try to claim it as your own. But that's, I copied my brother's work. I copied a lot of the cartoons from the paper. Bloom County and, other like that were my favorites. So I picked up a lot of things, how to draw hands, how to do expressions that way quickly. And, it'll evolve over time. Have plenty of sketchbooks on hand. I have tubs of old sketchbooks that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. They're sitting in storage, but always I have one in tow pretty much all the time. My iPad is my current sketchbook. Anytime I'm going to be in the doctor's office or something, I'll break it out and just doodle something.
So, on the iPad, you're able to actually sketch to the level of detail?
Oh yeah. There's
Really?
a program. It's inexpensive, and the pencil is pressure sensitive, so you can get the thick and thin. You can do, the brushes that simulate charcoal, brushes that simulate painting and stuff. You can do color, black and white. So yeah, it's pretty versatile, and you can undo.
That's the favorite button there.
Yes.
Undo.
I had just one follow-up question before you go on to your next one. Imagine that some of our creatives are actually working professionals as well. So they may not work in a creative industry, however, they do have creative skills and things that they're trying to get back to. When you're mentioning about learning about sketching, what kind of advice would you give someone who has a 9 to 5, once again, in a different industry, but they're wanting to get back to that sketch, or they're wanting to get back to their creative center? Do you have any insight that you give them?
I mean, find a place where you can find your people or something. I mean, there's a lot of classes for animation specifically. There's a lot of classes that are online that are available to people that aren't too expensive. You're not committing to the expense of college, but these are classes taught by people in the industry, so the information's current, it's relevant. If you're looking to do, paintings or something like that, there's the hot shops downtown. There's lots of artists in that studio space that, surely you can find somebody who you can, confer with. Not sure if that helps.
Oh, I think that does help. I think it's very practical because let's just say you maybe have 4 or 5 extra hours a week and you're wanting to see how can I maximize it. Like you said, there's options online. There's also local communities. And for those that aren't here in Omaha, Nebraska, we have a wonderful arts community, and you're mentioning hot shops. So maybe we should do like a social media walkthrough there.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful incubator of artists. And so if you have that in your city, perhaps that's where you go as well. So I do think that that's practical advice of find your community, which we've heard so many times, and then also just find little ways to integrate yourself back in.
And Benson has a First Fridays
Yes.
thing that's actually this Friday, and a whole slew of local artists there that I never knew existed before, and all sorts of tastes and styles.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, you had mentioned college and training, and there are all sorts of courses that could be theory and style and things like that. So are there any of these rules of sketching that, it's not for you?
Oh,
You just
plenty.
break it.
There's animation itself has rules. They were written by the 9 old men of Disney, back in the days, and they're rules in loosest sense, but they will help you convey animation in a way that's very acceptable. So generally art rules, I don't know, that's the beauty of art. You can just kind of make up your own rules. Yeah.
So you referenced these 9
Yeah.
rules. What can you tell me?
Well, the 9 old men. It's
Oh, okay.
They were there. I think there's like 12 principles of animation, and squash and stretch is one of them, which is where I got the name squash and sketch.
Oh, tell us more about that.
It was a very obtuse sort of nod, and I didn't know if anyone even picked up on it. But squash and stretch is the animation principle where if something hits the ground, it squashes and then stretches back up and goes back to its normal shape. So if you think of like the difference between a rubber ball hitting the ground and a cannonball hitting the ground. Cannonball it's very rigid. A rubber ball will definitely squash and stretch. So that principle can be applied to characters and trees and all sorts of things. So, but there's all these other principles of animation too.
Wow, now I want to start looking at animation a little bit different about the squash and stretch and saying, okay, is this a rigid? Is this more malleable?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
So
yeah,
interesting.
and there's
Wow.
different, even within the animation world, Disney definitely followed those rules. Other studios don't. So Family Guy typically doesn't really do a lot of those type of things. They tend to be very kind of quick and to the point. They have their own look, so they don't necessarily follow those rules. So they're rules.
Right, like the guidelines.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Just some helpful guidelines
Yeah.
for us to follow.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. Actually, I did not pick
Yeah,
up on
12
that.
principles of animation. If you
wow.
look that up, there's lots of examples of explaining it online.
Okay, no, that's really good, especially for our creatives back at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to find your way back, there is a practical way to start. It's like, okay, 12 principles of animation. Just read a little bit
Mm-hmm.
or see a YouTube video. I'm sure there's people on social media that probably go into it as well. I always find
Oh yeah.
there's always some creator
Yeah.
that deep dives into a subject. So.
Yes. And there I go down the rabbit hole.
Right, I know.
So squash and stretch.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking, for viewers who don't know, Jessica has mentioned seeing him at Vala's. Vala's is Vala's Pumpkin Patch. So when it was squash and sketch, I was thinking some relation in the pumpkin gourd family.
It was double. Squash was working double and squash and sketch. It was, like I said, it was a nod more to myself. I don't know. I seriously don't think anyone even picked up on it. But the squash kind of made sense. It fits.
Well, that's
We're in the know.
Yeah, now we're in the know. So speaking of sketches, Do you remember your first sketch that made you think, okay, this is something that I want to keep doing?
Ooh, boy. Huh. I would say it would, I don't know. I can't say this is the first one that made me think of it, but I remember drawing things in high school that people really took to. Stupidly, it was a character that looked like a ZZ Top guy.
Excellent.
It was just a long bearded guy, you know, wore a hat, and I think he drew a guitar. People really took to it. And I was asked more than once to draw it on their notebook. But I'm sure there's been instances before that, but that comes to mind.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love like how people are like, okay, you just created this character. You're like, oh, I like that. Can you put this on my notebook? And it's kind of like this badge of honor, like, yes, Ben drew on my notebook. And that is really cool. I love how that captured you,
Yeah.
that moment and sharing that. But also you were sharing art too. And I find that, well, every medium has its way of connecting, but I find that animation can connect in ways that transcend language. Because I don't know if you remember watching Fantasia growing up. I mean, you can see animation, and maybe it's in your language, maybe it's not, maybe it's in music, but I just find that seeing images and then just sharing those moments is just such a beautiful way to convey things that are hard to say at times.
Well,
but also
what was the movie Flow last year? Won Best Animation. No words. It was just about a cat in a boat and other animals. I mean, it took an hour and a half long film, no dialogue.
Because you don't need it.
Nope.
And
You
that's the
convey,
beautiful
you can-
power.
yeah, you can convey with the animation.
Wow, that's beautiful. But that is the true power of it.
That's kind of jaw-dropping. Wow.
I remember being a kid and watching cartoons or anime specifically in Japanese, and it always wasn't translated, or sometimes episodes came out before the translations came out. So it's like, well, I'm just gonna watch it anyways.
Yeah,
and
you get the
I'll
gist
figure
of
it out.
Yeah, you get
So,
the gist of it.
That's amazing.
I love that you made the ZZ Top reference, and I'm getting the visual. I know who you're talking about. This is great for me. Thank you. Now, you had, when I had asked you about the iPad, and you said that one of the great things that you could do is the undo.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the undo.
Yeah.
So, in relation to that, perfectionism and imperfection of your art, what is your relationship with
it's
that?
weird what I'll get hung up on, anymore on The Simpsons. I've been on this show 15, 20 plus years. I still can't draw a perfect circle, and their eyes are perfect circles. I'll draw it, undo, draw it, undo, draw it, undo. Draw about 3/4 of it, undo. That's fine. Draw 3/4 and then just add the rest. I wish I could just draw a perfect circle first time through, but it's different. My own work, I don't know. You're looking for a quality in the line sometimes when you're doing a certain part of the sketch, or sometimes I'll look at my old work and think, boy, that was sloppy. Sometimes, so I don't consider myself perfectionist. I don't necessarily worry about every little detail, but but I will get hung up on little things sometimes.
The perfect circle.
Yeah, the perfect circle.
Wow.
As many times as I've drawn those eyes, I still just can't get it.
I love that it's just the eyes. Like, I love that it's just something as, common as a circle, and you're like, okay, this is the thing. But that's a quirk too. I love that. I love that you shared that quirk, because I feel like it makes all of us unique and more human. Imagine someone at home was listening to this, and maybe that's a square for them, or a triangle, or just something different. There's always this battle with perfection, imperfection. Is this enough? Have I done enough? Am I good enough to get this job? But just hearing you say that, I feel like it's relatable. It's just it humanizes you. And it humanizes the art. It's like, hey, guess what? I've been here 25 years, and still this little circle is giving me the runaround.
We're still struggling to make this show.
Yeah.
Animator of one of the top animated shows ever to exist.
Yeah.
Struggles with the circle.
Yes, Simpsons is part of American culture.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
I don't see any way that it hasn't touched American culture or made a commentary on American culture. I mean, it's just very much a household show. And then sometimes you're like, oh, I wonder if The Simpsons will do a bit on that and bring it into the show. It's very much that.
I love that you brought in the humanizing part because it's very easy for anyone who's in their journey as a creative and they're looking at the highly successful and saying, I'll never be that good. And to know that humanity, that perfection will not happen even for the most experienced. It's a part of the craft.
And all the different places I've worked, there's been people whose artistic abilities blow me away, and I can't imagine myself being there, but here I am working side by side with them. So, you know, there's always going to be someone to aspire to. There's always going to be people you can inspire. So, yeah, don't beat yourself up too much.
Right. I have a question. So, ZZ Top to almost 2 decades
Yeah.
with The Simpsons,
Yeah.
in addition to all these other amazing projects. What was your path?
Oh, it bounced around some. Initially, you know, growing up where I grew up, there wasn't, I mean, we knew about Garfield, of course, and, you know, the comics. The idea of working in animation never even crossed my mind until I was well into college. Even though I grew up watching Looney Tunes and all those cartoons back then and loving them, it just didn't even dawn on me that that was a job somewhere. I went, you know, during high school, it was, you know, I was on the artist of the yearbook, artist in the newspaper. Went to college to study children's book illustration. I thought that would be the direction I would go to, or T-shirt design. And during that time in in college, I learned about Disney would send representatives to a college in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. And that really piqued my interest. And I thought, oh, I think I'd like to pursue that. So I ultimately went to art school in Columbus, Ohio. And shortly after graduating, I actually started on Simpsons maybe 2 years after graduating. And eventually I did get at Disney, but, you know, not quite as soon as I had hoped initially. But that's sort of a quick rundown.
No Pizza Hut in there.
Oh, there's been plenty of those.
Newspaper routes.
I did the caricature thing during college. I worked at a theme park called Opryland.
Oh, Gaylord Opryland.
You know that?
Yes, I
Opryland.
do. Opryland.
Not
Okay.
there anymore. It's a parking lot now. Yeah, it was. My wife's a musician, and her and her brother were down there as roving entertainers, and actually my brother, the oldest one, was a caricature artist there the year before me. Told me about the job, and so I went down the summer following, and so I did that for a few years, and that's how I kind of got into the caricature thing. Odd jobs, of course, working in restaurants and stuff like that all through college. But yeah, I think right after graduating, I worked in a textbook company in Ohio, just doing illustration work for them for a few months. And then, and then I think within 2 years, I had found out about someone who worked on The Simpsons who kind of helped me apply and get in the studio.
Wow. So finding a mentor and of sorts.
Yes. Ironically, through my mother-in-law.
I mean, family can connect you. Absolutely.
She came home one day and she mentioned that her friend had a son who worked on this show called The Simpsons. You wouldn't want to talk to him, would you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Please connect
Yes.
us. Like, are you kidding me? Like, The Simpsons?
Yeah.
Sounds like you married well.
Yes.
It worked out okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I loved my mother-in-law very much.
All right. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up our show, and we have a capstone question that we ask all of our guests before we end. So, Dr. Gibbons, why don't you go ahead and share that capstone question, and let's see.
So someone approaches you and says, as your biggest fan and aspiring creative. What is the one rule I should live by? How do you respond?
Oh, be yourself, I'd say. I living in LA, that was one thing that really opened my eyes when I got my job at The Simpsons, is suddenly there's a studio full of people who have their own quirky interests and are not ashamed. And the toy collectors and this type, fans of this show and stuff like that. It's just that's what made them unique and made them special. And you will find your people eventually.
I love that. I love that
Yes,
advice because
absolutely.
one, it's honoring to yourself, the authenticity. Of course, we'll talk about that together too in community. Well, thank you so much, Ben Lane, for being a guest
Absolutely.
on our show. And I hope that you at home, that you also enjoyed this show. And remember, you can like us, share us, and if you know someone who might be thinking about animation or sketching, make sure you send them this episode. We are streaming on all major platforms. So if you're on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you are, we are as well. And with that, Dr. Gibbons, how about you sign us off?
Yes, Jessica, thank you. And thank you for tuning in to the Creative Life Podcast, the place where creatives go for inspiration.